As I begin the devotion today, I just want to take a moment to say a quick thank you to all of those who are listening to the devotions, whether it be in your personal time, on your way to work, however you are utilizing the devotions. I'm proud that you're doing it. I appreciate all the feedback you have been giving me on these, so please continue to listen. I want to make you aware that the devotion you're going to hear today is based upon an actual event that happened in my life to me somewhere around December 2009. I hope you get a blessing out of the devotion today. It's entitled, The Gift of Laughter, My Half-Brain Moment. Proverbs 17:22 states, A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. I believe that I'm often the object of God's attention when He needs a good laugh. I think that sometimes the scene in heaven must look something like this. God is looking down at me, belly laughing, tears streaming down His face, motioning the angels with one hand to assemble around Him, while all the time pointing at me with the other saying, Look at this dummy. I didn't give him but half a brain, and he's trying to use it. I have many half-brain moments. In fact, I had one regarding my 1997 Ford F-150 pickup truck. The one that looked good, was paid for, and there was nothing wrong with. Yeah, that one. This is the object of my half-brain moment. It all began a year or so earlier when Mary Ann and I decided to buy her a Toyota Prius, one of the hybrids, because of all of the miles she was logging commuting for her job. When she got the Prius, I inherited her Honda Pilot. This relegated my 1997 F-150 to the role of backup vehicle and trash truck. I kept it parked about 50 feet up the hill from my house under a lean-to shed attached to my Fresh Fire Ministries production studio and study. When I parked it about 7 weeks earlier, it was running fine. I filled the gas tank before I parked it. The seasons changed. Therefore, I assumed that the changing of the seasons caused water to condense in the tank. When I cranked the truck, it would spit, sputter, and go dead. I had some starting fluid handy. So, I had a terrific idea. I raised the hood, loosened the air filter hose, and squirted starting fluid in the hose. It ran great as long as I continued squirting starting fluid in the hose. My logic was that if I could keep it running long enough, it would get past the portion of the tank where the water had condensed. Everything worked well for about 10 minutes. Then, as those brave astronauts on Apollo 13 said, Houston, we have a problem. The problem? I ran out of starting fluid. Solution? I had some gas handy. So I started pouring gas in through the air filter hose. All went well for about another 10 minutes. Then it happened. The engine backfired, igniting the gas in the hose. Then, to quote that famous theologian, Gumby, I said, Oh, no, Mr. Bill, Mr. Bill. I had nothing with which to extinguish the flame. As I watched the flames, now shooting 3 to 4 feet out of the engine compartment, I had an epiphany. I realized that if I didn't do something, not only would my truck burn up, but so would my studio and study. So I ducked into a nearby phone booth, changed in my leotard with the big S on the chest, mustered all my courage, slammed the hood shut, jumped into the truck with the full tank of gas, knocked it into neutral, and let it roll about 50 feet toward the house. I planned to grab the water hose and extinguish the fire. As I grabbed the hose and tried to squirt water on the fire, I quickly discovered my 3 dogs had been chewing on the hose. That hose looked like a lawn sprinkler. I sprayed water on myself and the lawn, but not the flames. There I was in all my glory, soaking wet, smelling like a chimney with a smoldering, ruined truck in front of me. In less than 3 minutes, I had gone from hero to a zero. Can you envision God belly laughing at me? I can. Someone asked me why I didn't call the fire department. I told them, hey, this is Stovall, Georgia I'm talking about. And besides, we lived in the woods 8/10 of a mile off the paved road at the end of a pulpwood road. No, I got myself into the mess. It was up to me to get myself out. After taking a moment to regain my composure, I went into the house and called my insurance company. I told the nice young lady on the other end of the phone, please tell me I'm covered. She said, yes, Mr. McCullough, you are covered. I then asked her, does my policy have a stupidity clause? Evidently, this young lady has a sense of humor, too. She said, yes, sir, I'm reading right here. It says, if Aaron McCullough does something stupid, it's covered. She then said, that's why they call it an accident, Mr. McCullough. A few days later, I spied the truck I am now driving on Tom Stanley's used car lot in LaGrange. He'd made me a poor preacher price, and I bought it. I told him I was a poor preacher, and he told me that he had heard me preach, and I was about as poor a preacher as he'd ever heard. Not really. But I do tell everybody that I bought my new truck at a fire sale price. Ooh, that was really bad, wasn't it? Why have I chosen to share this half-brain moment in my life with you today? To remind you that unexpected, weird, bad stuff happens to all of us. None of us is exempt. We have two choices when it happens. We can laugh or we can cry. Crying will not change anything. On the other hand, while rediscovering God's gift of laughter in the midst of a problem may not change the problem, but it will change our attitude toward it. I had a choice. I could get bitter about my half-brain moment, or I could join God and the angels in the laughter. I laughed all the way to the bank with the insurance check, which, while it did not cover the full price to replace my truck with a later model, made a big dent in it. I encourage you to rediscover one of the best gifts God has given you, the gift of laughter. Quit taking everything so seriously, especially yourself. Lighten up. Step back and examine your situation. You may conclude that this time you are the one who has had the half-brain moment and that God is belly laughing at you, motioning for the angels to come around, all the while telling them, look at this dummy. I didn't give them but half a brain, and they're trying to use it. Lord, I believe there may be many folks listening to this devotion today whom life has just gotten way too serious for them. Everything has gone south for the winter. Everything that can go wrong can go wrong. There is no joy in their life. But God, right now, would you help them just to take a step back, look at it, and laugh? And the reason they can laugh is because they realize that in the end, it's going to work out because they belong to you and you belong to them. Lord, would you renew in us the gift of laughter? And I ask this in your name. Amen.